great news, folks. We have got some information about some voter rolls getting cleaned up. I'm talking about people being knocked off the voter rolls and 155,000 people that haven't been voting in the last 4 years, but they still registered to vote. They're what's called dormant voters. At this point, the Secretary of State of Ohio is cleaning up his voter rolls before the 2024 election. And hopefully, some of these other Secretary of States, these Republican Secretary of States, will get their ass on the ball as well. I know Ken Paxton and Governor DeSantis have done great work in trying to secure the elections in Texas and Florida. And I see Ohio is doing it too. Great job, Ohio. Great job from the Secretary of State there. I'll get you his name here in just a second. I'm going to read a little bit of this article. It's actually got two folds of good news about it. Any citizen, if they can prove, or any non citizen, they can prove registered to vote and was confirmed a non citizen, they said we'll be looking at criminal charges. So that's the way it works now. I think Trump needs to put out a statement, and it needs to be carpet bombed across all media that if you're an illegal and you choose to vote, there will be consequences for your illegality. It's just a fact, folks. They need some kind of. Here's a great one. If you get caught voting and you're an illegal, you'll be the first one deported. We ought to make a law that says that. We ought to get that passed through Congress and Senate immediately and have it sitting on Trump's desk when he shows back up in January. That'd be a great idea, folks. It's just my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and read you a little bit about this. I've got a clip with Kevin O'Leary talking about Kamala. And I've got another great clip from Jesse Waters that about what happened yesterday at the National Alliance for Black Journalists involving Trump and this nasty woman on ABC trying to talk shit to Trump. By the way, she proposes a question. Trump puts it right back to her. If y'all haven't seen that clip, I'll leave that one for the end. Good stuff, though. Uh, Definitely a good breakdown of some of the things that are going on in the news cycle this week. Crazy Kamala's still trending, folks, so I love it. I love it. All right, let's get into this good news about the Secretary of State standing up and doing his job. All right, I love to hear this. This is some kind of news I like to report. All right, let me shrink me down back over here in the corner. Get me out of the way. All right, here we go. I don't have my goggles, so wait a minute. Wait a minute. Found my goggles. All righty. They're dirty, but I can see. Here we go. It says boom, Republican SOS removes hundreds of non-US citizen from voter rolls. Ordered almost 155,000 unqualified voters to be removed. Democrats aren't even hiding it that they're going to try to use illegals to vote in all future elections, including the 2024, because they're losing their voter base because of the fact the country wants something besides these socialist policies, and so they're having to import their next voter base, which is why the border is open. There's no doubt in my mind that is the main purpose of it. It's several goals behind leaving the border wide open, but then the Democrats securing power forever is the main one. But here we've got what's his name? Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose. Uh, thank God for his part in trying to secure the election in Ohio. So this morning, Republican Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose announced that as a part of his comprehensive plan to remove all non-citizens from Ohio voter rolls, all of them. I like that. He has directed the county boards of elections to remove an additional 499 non-citizens who have been registered to vote in Ohio. Those 500 people do not need to be voting. They're illegally voting at this or registered at this point. Says last week at the direction of Secretary of State LaRose, I don't know how you say it, the Board of Elections removed nearly 155,000 registrations confirmed to be abandoned and inactive for at least 4 consecutive years. Secretary of State LaRose actions represent his commitment to voters to provide an accurate list that contains only qualified and active voter rolls. Secretary of State's actions are in sharp contrast to those of Michigan's Democrat Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. We all know about her. Horrible person. No election, not enough election fraud to overturn the results of the election, is her famous quote. She has fought so hard to continue to fight the lawsuits, including current lawsuit filed against her by the RNC that would force the dirty SOS to remove unqualified, dead, and illegitimate voters, cleaning up the dirty voter rolls. This dirty woman ain't going to do it. A lot of these Democrats, you cannot get them to. You can lead them to water, but you can't make them. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Well, that's a Democrat. Uh, when it comes to cleaning up their voter rolls, they're just not trying to hear it. It says, according to a press release from SOS Frank LaRoss' office, the latest action is a part of a multi-phase, comprehensive audit of the statewide voter registration database ahead of November's general election. Now, what he has done is, says in May, his Secretary of State's Public Integrity Division and Office of Data Analysis and Archives, well, that's a long name, initialized a review of the voter records for compliance with Ohio's constitutional citizen requirements. Great job. Using identification records to provide from the BMV, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, like our DMV here, the office found that 136 voter registrations assigned to Ohio residents who twice confirmed their non-citizen status to the BMV. 8 of those individuals failed to respond to notices asking them to either confirm citizenship or cancel their registration, and the board are initiating removal of those registrations. So they're going down the list, and they are using 2 forms of documentation. And if you find out that they put on a boot stamp form at the DMV somewhere, if they put on there that I'm a non-citizen and they're on the voter rolls, there's a conflict of interest right there. Provable, kick them off. Every state should do that. That would probably clean up hundreds of thousands of people off the voter rolls at a minimum if they all just did that one very step. And there's a lot of ways you can clean up the voter rolls. It says in the latest removal announced today included individuals who confirmed their non-citizen status to the BMV, and subsequent reviews of federal systematic alien verification for entitlements SAVE database system has confirmed them to be non-citizens. These individuals failed to respond to the notices and basically were kicked off the voter rolls. So we've got approximately 500 people that were taken off the voter rolls that were already registered to vote, but were illegals or not applicable to vote. And then we've got 155,000 inactive voter rolls that the Democrats love to use, keep them in their pocket until the time they actually need them. So I'm glad to see Ohio is cleaning up their voter rolls. It needs to be done in order to keep the states red, and I'm just glad to see it. Another great patriot here fighting for election integrity in our country. I wish we had more secretaries of states like our Ohio Secretary of State LaRoss, Paxton, and of course DeSantis, ones that are actually trying to fix the voter rolls. And I'm sure there's several other Secretary of States I'm leaving out, but for the most part, it looks like the Democrats have got a lot of them in the bag, or the states are run by rhinos. Either way, it's not good for us. But I'm glad to see a little bit of help coming our way. Now I've got a video clip here of Kevin O'Leary. This is what he's got to say about Kamala.
Real estate projects. We don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. So I deal with a lot of investors, agnostic to politics, and some of them are very big contributors to the Democratic Party. I heard for the first time today, because we like to talk about politics, mostly on policy, and what he said to me was, some of us are having some buyer's remorse. We'd wish we'd run a process because we got so much press in the first 9 days of bringing somebody into the party and raised 200 million plus, which is like a balloon underwater. It just wasn't Biden, so they started contributing. But we gave up 5 weeks of fantastic social media in guessing who really should be the candidate. Now, I hadn't heard that before. It's not that many. I'd guess 20% or something like that. But so that's starting to crack a little bit. And there is precedence for what's going on here. I ask everybody to look north to Canada. When a young Justin Trudeau swept in, nobody cared about his executional skills or what he'd ever done or anything. They just thought he was the it guy. Look at the country now. It's wiped out. And because it turns out the guy had no executional skills. It would be important to leave aside the politics and ask, What has Kamala Harris actually done, actually achieved? Because if I was hiring her, and I'm not trying to be partisan.
That is a great question. For anybody that supports Kamala Harris, besides being black or Indian or both, what has she done for the country? What policies has she put forth that's helped the American people? What has she not signed off on that would have saved us inflationary spending at the grocery store? You know, she signed off on three major $1 trillion packages over the last 3 years that eat our lunch when it comes to our inflation has about destroyed our economy in so many ways. I spend $60 today at the Family Dollar buying about 7 items. It's a sad situation, folks. That's my story, but I could see it. I remember when that was $25 worth of stuff, $20 worth of stuff, same amount of items. It's crazy, folks. Well, we'll get back into this. I don't want to complain about my grocery bills, but going to the Family Dollar was a little devastating this morning. Just on the fact I went in for a few items, I almost had to break out the credit card. There we go.
I would ask her, what was a goal? What did you achieve? Because any governor or any senator that would put into presidential viability would have a history, a track record of doing stuff.
What do you think she would say, Kevin, if you asked her in an interview straight up, Kamala, what's your biggest accomplishment? What would she say?
I don't know, because I don't know
Crickets.
of one, but I can tell you this. In the next 2 weeks, the happy talk is going to have to stop, because someone's going to sit her down and say, let's talk inflation. Let's talk border. Let's talk policy on energy. Let's talk policy on foreign affairs. And if she doesn't deliver on that with the new vision towards the center, the guy that said, I wish we'd run a process is going to be right. If she wants to win, she's got to go to the center, but she's got to have some ideas on how to run the country. You might hate Trump, but he has this track record of policy. You might hate him. I get it. But, you got to do something.
No tax on tips, border wall, tax reductions, stop the wars. I mean, you can nail it. I don't know what she wants. I just know she wants the power. Kevin O'Leary, you're right, though. That would have been the greatest American Idol audition this country's ever seen, and they just handed it to her, and now look what happened.
That's a fact, folks. No doubt about it. Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, and I'm not saying that because she's black. I'm saying that because she didn't earn it. I don't think she's a very qualified politician for many reasons, but more than that, you got to remember every policy in America that is destroying this country right now, she's co-signer of. Her and Biden run us down this progressive path of stop pumping our own oil out of our ground here. Instead, we buy it from other countries that hate us, and so many other policies that have really crippled the economy, including the inflationary spending from all these monstrous omnibus packages that are spent over $1 trillion in the last 3 years, or wrote checks for over $1 trillion in the last 3 years over Green New Deal stuff. I don't see it. What are they buying with that $1 trillion? I know it's coming out of our tax dollars, and that's just a fact. So that's why our groceries are higher. Part of the whole process. Now let's go ahead and get into something else I want to bring to y'all today. A little more Jesse Waters. I guess I got stuck on Jesse Waters today, but he had a pretty good take on what was going on with Trump today. Trump was talked, or actually it was yesterday. Trump was talked bad to by this ABC reporter, and even Fox News. Harris Faulkner, who's another melanated news anchor who was at this event, she came out this morning and said it was kind of lost track of what was really happening at the event. Instead of asking Trump questions, it would have been the best possible scenario for people that don't know who they're going to vote for yet. Was maybe they get to hear some new questions thrown at Trump from these black women journalists. Well, instead, Faulkner and a few others tried to ask him real questions and real poignant questions, but right from the get-go, it was an ambush. ABC comes out with their George Stephanopoulos type questions. These questions that make you look bad before the actual question gets there. Call you names, talk crap about you, misconstrue your record, all in a long statement that somehow it's supposed to be a question. You know how they do it, folks. Let's go ahead and get into it. But Trump lets her have it. There's lots of little clips of this all over the internet, but I figured I would show y'all a good part of it so you don't get the edited version and don't actually get the real picture. So we'll go ahead and watch it together.
This election's crazier than a soup sandwich. One president dropped out, the other was shot in the head. Now you've got a female black Democrat campaigning for the white vote and a white Republican guy campaigning for the black vote. And the Hispanics are like, hola, over here. Trump flew to Chicago today for the Black Journalists Convention, first time Republican nominee to do that in 20 years. Kamala was also invited, but she said she was too busy. But the guy who showed up was treated worse than the woman who ditched.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed.
First off, let me just say, F you, lady.
False claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner, a first question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
Yes.
Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense, and then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the
very
question
nasty
on your rhetoric and why you
I have
believe that
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act.
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
That moment changed the campaign. Donald Trump ripped the news cycle right out of Kamala's hands.
Yep.
That exchange is going to be seen by millions of black Americans. It'll be seen by everyone. And how they react to it will decide the country's future. This is like the Megyn Kelly moment at the debate. Remember, only Rosie O'Donnell. It's going to leave a mark.
He's right, folks. That's good there. That's about a 7-minute long clip. Trump gets into it a little more, and they try to hem him up on the fact that they think he's racist because he talks about black jobs. She asked him, what are black jobs? Well, black jobs are jobs that I'm guessing black people have lost due to the illegals. That's what he was referring to. Shut him up pretty quick on that one as well. But we'll go ahead and leave it at this. Everybody have a great day. Tell me what you think about how Trump handled that ABC lunatic. I don't care what color she is. She's a lunatic living in a dream world. Everybody have a great day. Like I said, like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to leave comments down below. It actually does help the algorithm help share out the channel. And as you know right now, YouTube and Google are shadow banning and changing search engines and doing everything they can to suppress any information uh, that doesn't support their team, the Democratic Party. So we got to put these clips out here, folks. We got to make them go viral, and we got to spread them out and share, share, share. Everybody have a great day. Over and out.